Hello. Please hit like button and subscribe my channel. Also press bell icon for future video notifications. Thanks.
African lungfish, Protopterus spp. Live in water for part of each year. During yearly dry seasons, though, they dig into mud, curl up, and secrete staggering amounts of mucus that then hardens to form a cocoon of protection. This process, known as estivation, allows the animals to survive on land for years, protecting them from complete desiccation until water returns, at which point they rehydrate their bodies and go back to swimming. This is an animal that, for this brief moment in time, can, like a force field, extend its body, its actual living body beyond its scope, says Ashley Poust, a vertebrate paleontologist at the San Diego Natural History Museum who did not participate in the study. The fact that they have actively dividing cells, and they carry around these granulocytes in their tissues, almost like a storehouse, is really cool, he continues. It's a new example of storing up something that you need for this different part of your life cycle, so that is exciting. There have long been hints of a connection between the immune system and lungfish cocoons. These animals are like bags of granulocytes, says evolutionary immunologist Irene Salinas of the University of New Mexico. This is an animal that, for this brief moment in time, can, like a force field, extend its body, its actual living body beyond its scope. We started to see things that were exciting from an immunological point of view, Salinas says, including granulocyte markers in the cocoon proteome. They also showed that granulocytes, which are usually found in the kidney and gut wall, migrate into the skin during the process of estivation, which the researchers induce in the lab by gradually removing water from the lungfish tanks. In the new work, the researchers looked more closely at where the granulocytes that show up in the skin were coming from. First, they found them migrating in the blood, Salinas says, which indicated that they must be leaving the tissues where they usually reside and moving to the skin. But, then once they get to the skin, we didn't know what to expect. Using both bright field and fluorescent imaging, the researchers. All of a sudden, we realized that the cocoon was not just dry mucus. It was like a living structure, and there were loads of cells in there, and they were actually alive, Salinas explains. By analyzing gene expression, the researchers also found that many pro-inflammatory genes are activated during estivation, which could help the granulocytes stay alive, they write in the paper. This is a new function for an old organ that was considered just to be a physiological barrier to avoid the desiccation or drying of the fish, says Oriel Sunyer, Salinas's former postdoc mentor and an immunologist at the University of Pennsylvania School of Veterinary Medicine who was not involved. We might consider that as a new form of immunity, from the perspective that this is like an extracorporeal immunity, he explains, along the lines of an immune vest, that the animals put on as they transition to a terrestrial lifestyle. From the new study, the team has long lists of genes that change expression levels in the skin during estivation. Trying to make sense of that data is a challenge, because while the lungfish genome was published earlier this year, it's huge, around 37 gigabases, and only about 60% of the genes that Salinas's team identified have known functions. Now we're going one by one, trying to find out what is in that list that is really exciting, she says. Another future direction is to look in older cocoons. In this paper, the cocoons were about 2 weeks old. In 2022, the researchers plan to travel to Tanzania to analyze the cells and microbes present in cocoons in wild lungfish that have been estivating for months. An interesting angle to follow up on would be to what extent they naturally get infections, and whether there are microorganisms that are favored by the conditions of estivation, says Warren Berggren, a comparative physiologist at the University of North Texas who did not participate in the study. Regarding the finding that lungfish have a complex cocoon microbiome, he says, I was not at all surprised to see that the lungfish, like just about every other organism, is actually a community. Quote, Please support my channel to grow by pressing subscribe button and the bell icon. We will notify you technological news. Thank you.